I was going to send you an email, but then things got kind of complicated with how the search happened and then how to follow up with new stuff. So I wanted to show you this. Hopefully this will be brief. From the Marriott Library homepage, www.lib.utah.edu, research databases. The database I'm going to go into is Scopus, but I would also heavily recommend sociological abstracts because that has a lot to deal with how criminology and criminal justice system are how they create criteria for implementation and things like that. How to decide whether something's good enough or not. But I'm going to go to Scopus, and I'll show you why. This is a database, so you'd have to log in to the off-campus by going to CIS-Utah.edu. Scopus. Now the search that I did, I'll explain it to you. One of them I did was juvenile detention, you can see. But I'm going to cut and paste. So when I did this particular search, I wish I could zoom in for you. This particular search, we have juvenile, so that's the context. And when you're in the court system, typically they don't talk about youths or adolescents. Also, sometimes they do. Typically, it looks like policy follows that one particular keyword. So I want to find juvenile. And then treatment, that might not be a great word, but I was just kind of hunting for ideas. And then I didn't know whether it was going to be, if they were going to call it prison, or for that matter, incarceration, and then justice or criminal. I think another word that came up was delinquency, because they talk about that. So when you're a juvenile and you commit a crime, it might not be a crime. It might be that you're in the status of delinquency. I don't know. These are all legal terminology, and I was just trying to find my way through. But I did find some good stuff. So let me show you what I found and how I found it. When you search in Scopus, it's going to throw you into the top tier journals, the really high impact articles. And by default, it's going to do date newest. I'd already done this search, so it saved my old one. One thing that you could do is try a number of keywords and then go through, and then you can see a lot of these have been published in this year. So you can go through and see, is there anything that you are interested in? And if you do find something that's interesting, look at the keywords that they use in the abstract and the title, and then search those keywords again. But I did two things. One is, you saw one already, I sorted by the number of times cited. The reason that I do this is so we can see what has the greatest impact on its field of study. I found some psychiatry, sociology, psychology. Oh, there's criminology too. But you can see some of them are really old. Because your assignment asks for newer stuff, there's a couple of suggestions that I have to make. If you look over on to the side, if I'm pointing to the right way, you can narrow down by a particular set of years. I wouldn't go too far back because we have run from a previous presidential administration into another presidential administration, and that government shift might be analyzed as we go. And also for your assignment, I can't remember if you had to go within 5 years or 10 years, but I wouldn't go too far back because a lot has been written about this. But if you go back into the 1990s or even farther back, you're running into all of this policy and research being informed by the war on drugs, which has been fraught with controversy in scholarship. So I'd avoid going back that far by any means. So I'm going back to 2014. You can pick whatever time you go back to. When you click Limit To, it's still going to say in number of times cited, but you're going to see only those articles that have been published since this one has been published, if that makes sense. How I wanted to show you a good practice, and I have some that I'm going to send to you, but one of them, you just go through these and look. There was one. Ooh, that one actually looks pretty good. So there's Journal of Abnormal Child Psychology, and they're looking at adolescent offenders, maltreatment, and their association. I don't know if that's going to be. Oh, where did the article go that I found? Shoot, I'll send you those articles. But say, for example, this one looks really good. If this one is a good one, what you would do is go out and click on this, and then you can see all the articles that spawn that. So let me go to I'm going to find the article that I found. The impact of incarceration on juvenile offenders. And I'll send you these. But that gave me a new keyword idea. Juvenile offenders is probably a court term or a legal term. It's a status. So if you're busted for something and you are classified as a juvenile, then you are then classified as a juvenile offender. Do you see how this works? But what we can do is, there we go. So juvenile incarceration might be another one that you would look at. When you're looking at scholarship, they might not say use words like maltreatment. They might talk about incarceration and then look at the good and the bad. So when you're doing your research, you might have to do that. Well, okay, say this was a good one. You would just click on this, number of times cited, and then you could sort that by number of times cited. So you'll see programs where they're trying to reduce crime. You'll see programs where about sociology, and your bibliography can build across, like, what is a juvenile offender look like? What are some of the treatment programs? What are some of the effects of incarceration? Are they good and bad? You could also have one that talks about pushing juveniles up to adult court systems. So, for example, there's something going on, I think this last year, where there was these middle school kids that went and killed somebody in this Slender Man kind of a thing going on. And there's a 12-year-old girl that was tried as an adult. So all of those could build up your bibliography. And you could approach how juveniles are treated in different jurisdictions like that. Hopefully that makes sense. I would recommend that go back and try different keywords and then make sure that you sort by date and the number of times cited, and you should find some good stuff. But I'm going to send you, I think I found 4. So hopefully you have a good spring break, and thanks for watching my long-winded